federal retiree cannot live off of the pension alone. All right, Fed Smart Retirement Podcast. We're back. We've got some great information for you. I'm excited to go through a lot of this information that we have today. It's going to be, I think, a shorter than usual episode, but maybe
People
meatier
are
than usual.
saying,
Just
thank
like,
goodness.
yeah, just like Steven, if you're watching, he's just smaller but meatier. He's been working out. You can see it. You can see the results, my friend.
I'm
You're
not,
looking good.
people don't know how tall I am, so they're gonna think that I'm like
That's
super
why I said
short.
smaller, like thinner, but meatier. So the
Okay.
podcast will be shorter, but meatier. And Steven is looking thinner, but meatier. He's bulking up. He's doing a good job, relieving some stress. He's got two kids at home, so he needs to go out into the garage sometimes and just work out. So, but speaking of working out, let's work out your retirement. Let's get you prepared for retirement. Today, Steven and I want to talk about the biggest federal retirement misconception that we see consistently. Stephen, at FedSmart, we're going on 22 years of helping federal employees. And when we were talking about it the other day, there's a misconception that we hear both from people that are getting ready for retirement or years out from retirement, and even people that are in their federal retirement. And the biggest misconception when you're not retired yet is I don't need to plan for retirement because I'm going to have my pension. And the people that are in retirement thinking, I don't need to use my TSP or have a distribution plan for my TSP because I have a pension. So the biggest misconception with federal retirement is I have a pension and that's going to be enough. Because I work for the federal government and I'm eventually going to get some income in the form of a pension. I don't need to do any planning. And for those of you who are already in retirement, you're thinking, I don't need to use my TSP. I have a pension and I have Social Security. That's enough. And you are wrong on both accounts. A
And
lot
we
of
see
people,
it all the time.
we
It's
see
crazy.
it all the time. We hear it all the time. Oh, I have my pension. I don't, when I retire or how much I have, it's not going to be impacted. I can't impact my pension, which is wrong. There are ways to get higher pensions potentially and plan for that. And I've had people strategically do it. There are ways to positively impact that, but there's also ways to not just have your pension be your only income source. In fact, when it switched to the FERS system years ago, back in 1983, a lot of the responsibility fell to you as the federal employee. It's very, 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 very rare that anybody can live off of just their pension alone. Like the Bible says, man cannot live off of bread alone. A federal retiree cannot live off of the pension alone. It's meant to be 1/3 of your income, about, not always. It's not a strict rule of thumb, but usually about 1/3 of your income comes from your pension, about 1/3 of it comes from your Social Security, and then about 1/3 comes from your TSP.
Think of diet colas too. Like your pension's not going to keep up with inflation. Most years it's trailing it by 1%.
Yeah.
So that in itself could put you behind the eight ball if you don't have a distribution plan to supplement your income or offset inflation.
Yep, exactly. It's not, it may be enough, like Steven's saying right at the beginning, but it may not be enough if you're blessed to live 20, 30 years or even less in retirement. You have to have a plan for that as well. And when you're looking at your retirement, it's amazing how many people we hear, well, my friend has this amazing retirement. My friend's able to do this travel or do this, and they paid off their debts and everything like that. And they're jealous and they're frustrated. And then we say, what did you do to plan for your retirement? And they'll say, well, nothing. I had my pension. And it's like, well, you wonder why your friend is living the retirement of their dreams. And they told you that they were saving in their TSP. They were foregoing getting coffee right now, or they were working a little bit longer to get the higher pension computation, or they're maxing out their TSP. And then you wonder why they have the retirement of their dreams, but they worked towards it. They were intentional. They saved so that they could have that retirement. And then you didn't do anything and you're jealous of it. That's why you're, having to have a different lifestyle. So for those of you who are listening that are years out from retirement, your pension is not going to be enough. In fact, what's great is I submit to you that the FERS system is actually much better for those who saved in their TSP and were intentional with their retirement. And the SERS was better for people that didn't do anything and just relied on their pension. And they're the ones that are saying, oh, the CSRS was so much better are the ones that didn't save and plan and intentionally retire at strategic timing and things like that. And so if you take advantage of all these benefits, the match in the TSP and starting early, paying down debts, and you're intentional, you can have the retirement of your dreams. So start planning now and know with your planning that the pension was not meant to be enough in retirement. It's very, 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 very rare. Almost never do we see where people can live off of just their pension alone. So have
Despite
that
what
plan.
AI says too.
Yeah,
You say, if you plug into AI and say, hey, do I need additional income? And I have a pension and social security. In most cases, it'll say no, but it doesn't know, again, what your goals are or, anything down the road of what you're looking at. So here we go with general financial advice. It's crazy how many times we've seen that too pop up, which is kind of weird, but just kind of plays into the fact that you need to know your own numbers and you need to set up your own distribution plan. Don't listen to like AI and just general advice.
exactly. Exactly. If you don't want to take Stephen and I's word for it, ask any of your friends who are retired or close to retirement and ask them, is your pension enough to live off of? And you'll get your answer. It's very, very, very rare. I've only seen in one case, and the few cases too where I've maybe seen is maybe their spouse had a good amount of income, but in their retirement package. But for you to replace your working income, completely, you can't do it with your federal pension. And like Steven said, AI is like the ultimate yes man. We've been hearing from a lot of people recently, well, AI says this and AI says that. AI wants to say what it thinks you want to hear, and it's giving incorrect. We did a podcast a few months ago, just a couple months ago, where AI is giving incorrect information 51% of the time, according to the National Association of Finance in Europe. They're basically saying 51%, but it's more often wrong than it is correct. And so don't rely on AI and go in. If you want to have the retirement of your dreams, be strategic, be intentional, and make a plan for your retirement. And for those of you who are retiring, we're hearing a lot of times, well, I may not ever need to touch my TSP because I'm going to have my pension, I'm going to have my Social Security. Well, first of all, that's wrong. You're greedy Uncle Sam. The IRS says you have to touch it. At some point, you're going to have to pull from your traditional TSP at some point. And saying, I have all this money saved and I may never need to touch it is not a brag. Why did you save all that money all those years just to sit and look at it and never enjoy it and never use it? No, you want to have a plan. You want to save. You want to take advantage of the TSP and that tool that's available to you, and you want to maximize it. A real brag is saying, I know I can pull this much from my TSP. I have a distribution plan. I can live off of this much and not just live off of it, but travel, do the things that I want to do, and still have this much planned for inflation, emergency, unexpected expenses, future withdrawals, or to leave money to my kids. A lot of people that say, oh, I don't want to touch it. I want to leave as much as possible. The good news is, more than likely you can touch it and still leave a good portion to your kids. Again, bragging and saying, oh, I don't need to touch my TSP is like bragging and saying, I bought my dream BMW and I don't ever need to drive it. It just sits there. It looks really good. And I don't, or, a lot of people were mad. Steven, that guy bought that Pagani car that was like
Oh,
$7 million and then
yeah.
put it in his condo as a decoration.
I'm
That's what
mad
it's
at that
like.
guy too.
Yeah, buying a $7 million car, wasting it, a
It is
car that
kind
was
of a piece of
created to
art, though.
be driven. It is cool, but you're not proving my point. It's like having a car, that is just sitting there and not being used. You're never getting to drive it. You have your TSP, you've got this balance. It might give you that security, it might help you feel good, but there are ways to have security, to pull from it, have the retirement of your dreams. Just 2 weeks ago, I talked to a couple. They had always wanted to travel and they always planned on it and they had decently healthy TSP balances, but they kept saying, we may never need to touch it. We may never need to touch it. I said, well, wait a minute. You said your hope for retirement was to be able to travel and do the things you wanted to do. And they said, yeah, well, that would all be well and good. I said, well, you have this TSP. You can set up a distribution plan. You can figure out a way to pull from it and do the traveling, do the things that you want to do when you're in your 60s and you have the energy in your 70s and you have the vitality, and not compromise your 80s and 90s, or not compromise the fact that you could pay for unexpected expenses if they pop up. And
With
so
the three leg system too, what's going to happen with Social Security? Does anyone know? Does anyone know if it's going to be the same amount when you're actually going to pull from it? So, I mean, two out of the three legs of the stool, I mean, sorry, one out of the three is kind of an uncertainty right now. I'm not fear mongering saying it's going away, but we honestly have no idea what's going to happen with that in the future. So, it just plays into the fact that you need to make sure you have all your bases covered.
absolutely. Absolutely. So to sum up for today, the biggest misconception that you might hear or you might believe as a federal employee is I have my pension and that's enough. I don't need to do any retirement planning. I don't need to do any strategy. I don't need to be intentional. No, you do need to be intentional. Your pension is not enough. It's not enough to live off of. Do some planning. If you're years away, you can get into our federalretirementcourse.com and you can get in there. We have some strategies on how to maximize and plan for your TSP and your pension. And if you're in retirement or you're nearing retirement and you need help setting up a strategy, go to fedsmartretirement.com and you can click on book and you can book a free consultation or a counseling session with Steven, Nick, Steve Sr., or myself, and we can set up an appointment with you guys to help you maximize your retirement. One of the saddest things that I see is people that could have been living the retirement lifestyle of their dreams, and they're not doing it because they don't have a plan. They're afraid, they're anxious, or they just don't know how to maximize their TSP. So if that's you, we are here to help. We're not trying to, do this podcast just to try to get you to book an appointment or sell you something. We do want to educate the masses. We do want to be a resource. We want to help you, but we are also here as a one-on-one resource to help maximize. That's a free counseling session. If you want to go to fedsmartretirement.com, we would be happy to help you. At FedSmart, our whole goal is to help you live the retirement of your dreams, because educated federal employees retire differently. And so that's why we're trying to educate you and equip you with what you need to live the retirement of your dreams. Any way that we can help you do that, let us know. Reach out to us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. You can message us there, or you can go to our website if there's any question that you have. The next podcast will have a Q&A. So speaking of questions, go there, submit your questions. We'll get you some answers. We appreciate all of you in our FedSmart community, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you on the next one.
FedSmart Podcast is meant for informational purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice or tax advice. FedSmart Podcast is not affiliated with any government agency or OPM. Jesse Black and Steven Puckett offer advisory services through Integrity Wealth. Integrity Wealth and FedSmart are not affiliated. If you'd like an appointment, please go to fedsmartretirement.com and schedule a free one-on-one appointment. Thank you.